And good evening, everyone. My name is Mike Dobbs. I'm the executive editor for Reminder Publishing, and it's my pleasure and privilege this evening to be a moderator here at Focus Springfield for a forum featuring candidates for at-large city council here in the city of Springfield. I'll go over the structure of the forum in a moment. I'm going to be joined here at the podium by Paul Tuthill from WAMC, Peter Goonan from The Republican, Matt Safransky from Western Massachusetts Politics and Insight. And joining us on Zoom will be Michaela Cruz, who is president of the Springfield High School Democrats. So these are the folks who are going to be asking some questions. Joining us this evening is Sean Curran, Deborah Fletcher, Justin Hurst, Juan La Torre, Jesse Letterman, James Ryan, Kateri Walsh, and Tracy Whitfield. So we have incumbents and challengers in this grouping. So let me explain what we're going to do here this evening. Every candidate is going to get a 90-second opening statement here in a few moments. After that, I'm going to ask a question that will go to all of the candidates. And then after that, we're going to be breaking up the candidates into two groups that will answer different questions. This way, we're trying to get as many different answers from candidates as from many different subjects as we can. And then at the end of the forum, we're going to have closing statements. There's going to be an opening statement for each candidate of 90 seconds, a closing statement for 90 seconds. The candidates will have 90 seconds to answer these questions. And there's going to be a warning bell at 10 seconds before that ends, or at the 80-second mark, and then a succession of bells at 90 seconds. So let's get this started. And we're going to go for the opening statements in alphabetical order right now. So the first one with a 90-second opening statement would be incumbent City Councilor Sean Curran. Sean?
Thank you, Mike, and I appreciate In Focus for having this forum, and I appreciate my colleagues for participating. Over the next 2 years, the city of Springfield faces some enormous challenges, and I hope the council, and certainly myself, will be focused on improving infrastructure, improving education, and improving public safety here in the city. We have a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity with the American Rescue Plan to invest in our roads, to upgrade our water and sewer infrastructure, to upgrade our sidewalks, and to provide housing assistance where needed. We also have the ability to emphasize the expansion of the University of Massachusetts Springfield, as well as continuing reforms within our police department and supporting our officers on the street and supporting community policing in every neighborhood. I look forward to working with my colleagues on these issues, and thank you for having me at this forum tonight.
Thank you very much, sir. Next up with a 90-second opening statement would be Deborah Fletcher. Deborah?
Thank you, Focus Springfield, for having me. My voice is a little shattered, so I'm going to try to. So like Mr. Sean, I have the same protecting our police, making sure that our small businesses that didn't receive the money the last time, like the Boys Club, the Girls Club, MLK, all the small businesses receive that. Most importantly, making sure that our officers are safe and that unity is installed and back into our community. We do have a chance to have a whole lot of things happening, but we have to have people who are willing and not people who are just politically connected. This election has stressed me out. I don't know if any of you all have been stressed before in an election. You all know me a long time. I've never been this far in a forum or even in your lanes. But I think that if all of us, work together, we can overcome and move forward. Our police can be safe, which means all of our residents and our children in our schools are safe. And I don't believe that we have systemic racism when I watch so many icons of the city elevate themselves. So I know I'm sitting here with you all, and I'm very honored, and I thank you for the opportunity.
And thank you very much. Justin Hurst, you're now up for a 90-second opening statement.
Thank you, Mike, and thank you to Focus Springfield. It's an honor and privilege to be before you today. I was born and raised in the city of Springfield, graduated from the Springfield Public Schools. Upon graduation, attended the University of Virginia and wanted to come back to give back to the city that had given so much to me. So upon graduation, I ended up coming back and teaching high school English at the High School of Science and Technology full time. And then in the evenings, I went to Western New England College, University of Law, and in 2004 received my JD. Wanting to impact more than just the 90 students in my classroom, I decided to run for office roughly 10 years ago. The first time I ran, unfortunately, I fell short, but undeterred, decided to run again. And I'm now currently serving in my fourth term on the Springfield City Council. I've had the opportunity to lead the City Council for 2 years as the City Council president. And I think we've done a wonderful job as a body in terms of moving critical legislation forward. So I look forward to a robust discussion. And once again, thank you so much for giving the residents of Springfield this forum to hear from all of us.
Thank you very much, sir. Next up, Juan La Torre. Juan?
Good evening, and thank you, everyone, for being here tonight and taking an interest in your government. My name is Juan F. La Torre III. I am a lifelong resident of the city of Springfield and a first-time candidate for an at-large seat on the Springfield City Council. I born and raised here and graduated from our Springfield Public Schools. I attended the University of Massachusetts Amherst and then Western New England to get degrees in engineering. And I'm looking forward to bringing my problem-solving skills and attention to detail to the City Council if elected. I've always been involved in serving our community as an Eagle Scout and as a volunteer scout leader in Forest Park. I've served on a subcommittee of the City Council focused on young professionals' issues. I've volunteered my time with a half dozen other nonprofits across the city to lend my hand where I could, anywhere from serving meals to the homeless or looking for donations for coats or reading to our elementary school kids. I'm excited about the opportunity of serving our city in this role. I believe I've got the temperament, the experience, and the vision to help lead Springfield through the next 2 years, in particular with this historic, once-in-a-lifetime investment in the American Rescue Plan funding that we're looking at. I think we've really got to focus on infrastructure. We've got to focus on investment in our neighborhoods, and we have got to become a city council that makes ourselves open and friendly to businesses so we can provide good jobs to all our residents. Thank you.
That is time, sir. Thank you. Okay, next up for 90 seconds, opening statement is Jesse Letterman.
Thank you very much, Mike, and good evening. Thank you to Focus Springfield and the participating organizations for organizing tonight's forum. My name is Jesse Letterman. I'm a lifelong resident of the city of Springfield, and I'm currently serving my second term as one of your at-large city councilors. I first ran for the city council because, like many of the folks watching at home, I was tired of the same interests influencing our city and leaving our neighborhoods behind. I didn't come from a big political family or a family with a lot of money. It's by working together with residents across our city that we've been able to deliver real results for all of our neighborhoods. Together, we've put an end to polluters being rubber stamped in Springfield, and we defeated the proposed biomass incinerator. We worked to protect residential neighborhoods from corporate short-term rental companies, and we held public utilities accountable, among many other initiatives. I'm running for re-election to continue building upon the work that we've done together. And I have high hopes for the next 2 years as we work to shepherd our city to a post-pandemic future that finds us in a better place than we were before. I look forward to answering the questions here tonight, and thank you for your consideration.
Thank you. Next up will be James Ryan.
Yes, thank you very much for having me, and my apologies if you're hearing a screaming baby in the background. I have a 3-month-old who we're just trying to get down to sleep, I promise. So anyways, if I haven't had the honor of meeting you yet, my name is James Ryan, and above all else, I'm a proud Springfield resident. This is the place where I finally got to live out the millennial dream of actually owning a home and getting to raise a family. It's where I got my master's in education through UMass Amherst, just downtown, and have spent my entire teaching career since. It's where I've had the opportunity to work with so many amazing people, just to try and make life just a little bit better each day. Unfortunately, it's also where I saw the COVID pandemic hit hard, especially hard. I've seen neighbors lose their lives, their livelihoods, their homes, you name it. And I've also seen the pandemic highlight and expose long-running and deeply rooted systemic issues that we've been facing for generations. As a veteran office holder, having dealt with policy ranging from economic development, public health, public safety, transportation, environmental protection, I couldn't just sit by and do nothing. When I became an Eagle Scout 12 years ago, I made a promise to always serve my community. And I kept that promise through the work that I do. So that's why I'm running. We've got problems. I want to help fix them. I have a track record of bringing people together and getting things done, and I want to bring that to City Hall. I'm committed to putting in the work and doing what I can to ensure that we not only recover from this crisis, but rebuild stronger than ever. Thanks for having me. I look forward to our conversation tonight.
Thank you. Okay, Katery Walsh. Katery, you're up next.
Okay, I just want to make sure that I am unmuted. Thank you, Mike, and thank you, Focus TV, for this opportunity to reach out to a large number of people right before the election, reminding them that November 2nd is Election Day. I am one of 2 women running for re-election as an at-large city councilor. I learned values in public service from my grandparents, who were both elected officials, and taught us that public service is an honorable profession, and that is a philosophy that I have followed in my career. I'm married to a retired Marine Corps Captain, Danny Walsh, and we have the distinction of both having served as presidents of the City Council. When Danny finished his tour with the Marines, we came to Springfield, and we have raised 7 children here, and we are now grandparents of 11. My priorities on the council are public service, public safety, economic development, and jobs. I've been an advocate for quality schools, for protecting our seniors, and supporting our veterans. As a council member, I've supported investments in local, state, and federal projects that have brought jobs and activity to our neighborhoods. I've served as president and vice president of the City Council, and I've chaired several major committees. I've been instrumental in bringing women's issues to the forefront as the chair of the Springfield Women's Commission and as an inaugural member of the first Massachusetts Commission on the Status of Women. I'm currently chair of the Maintenance and Development Committee for the Springfield City Council. That department oversees the DPW, Parks and Recreations, and Capital.
That is time. That is time.
Oh.
Thank you. That's okay.
I have more to say.
Well, I'm sure everybody does, and we're going to give you a chance here in a moment. Okay,
Thank
so
you.
last in terms of the opening statements is incumbent Tracy Whitfield. Tracy?
Thank you very much, Mike, for moderating this evening. Thank you, Focus Springfield, for having this panel discussion. My name is Tracy Whitfield, and I am the first Black female vice president of the Springfield City Council. I was born and raised in the city of Springfield, and I am a proud graduate of the Springfield Public Schools. I became a single mom as a teenager with a very involved father that we co-parented together. However, the brunt of the responsibility did fall on me because we did not live together. During that time, I attended a workforce development program, and I obtained a certificate as a legal secretary in the hopes of obtaining a job just to pay a livable wage so I could take care of my young family. I secured a job doing that in the private sector for $12.50 an hour livable wage. While working and raising my young family, I went to college and I obtained a bachelor's with a concentration in finance and a master's in accounting and taxation. And I worked part-time while doing both of those things. So I definitely understand the struggles that young parents face, whether male or female. It's a difficult task. However, I navigated many systems while being judged amongst peers, some family member and church members. I felt alone at times. I still, as a first-time college student, navigated the college admissions process, brought a
That's 10
home,
seconds.
navigated that process. Is my time up?
Oh, no, you got 10 more seconds.
Okay. Navigated that process, bought a home, started a small business, and organized many events in the city of Springfield. I worked for a nonprofit, for-profit, for government
And
as a finance
that is
analyst
time,
for the
Tracy.
city of Springfield, and also for workforce development for HCC and STIC, and currently
we got time
as
here.
a diversity, equity, and inclusion coordinator. So I appreciate your time, and I look forward to answering questions.
All righty. Okay, so I'm going to ask a question to everyone, and then, as I said, my colleagues are going to be asking questions to groups here. So my question, and I'm going to do reverse alphabetical order. So Tracy, you're going to be up for this first. My question is, what is the single most pressing issue for you that is facing the city of Springfield? What is the top priority legislatively for you facing the city of Springfield? So we're going to go to Tracy Whitfield first, and that's 90 seconds for that answer.
So, Mike, as a diversity, equity, and inclusion coordinator for the town of West Springfield, I'm learning that everything that happens in the city of Springfield needs to be equitable. That means any resources that we have in the city of Springfield needs to go to all communities, especially the communities that need the most help. And so my top priority is to make sure that government spending is very transparent and the resources that are available in the city of Springfield are given to all residents in need in all communities in the city of Springfield. So that would be my top priority, Mike.
Thank you very much. Okay. Kateri Walsh, what would be your top priority if reelected to the city council?
If reelected to the city council, I would say my top priority is public safety. I'm proud to say that I am one of the co-sponsors of the ordinance to reestablish the police commission. I think that would go a long way for transparency in the police department, and every neighborhood has to be safe, vibrant, and secure. And I do hear a lot from people who are concerned about those issues. So public safety, particularly for our seniors, is my top priority.
Thank you very much. Mr. Ryan, James Ryan, what is your top priority if you're elected to the city council?
Simply creating economic opportunity. When I teach my students after they go off and graduate, I ask them, what are your plans for, after you graduate from college? And they said, get the heck out of Springfield. Reason why? What are we creating for them? So heading forward, I want to make sure that we are prioritizing local and minority-owned businesses in our city contracting, keeping our money here. I want to combat our housing shortage, put investment into and zoning plans that are going to be helping renters and homeowners alike. I want to make sure that all new development is designed to reduce emissions, lower operating costs, and create local jobs. I want to fix our roads, strengthen our public transportation so that we can move around better and cheaper. And I want to invest in municipal internet. I want to provide high quality service while saving us money. All of these things that will create a hotbed for development and opportunity here in Springfield.
Thank you, sir. Jesse Letterman, what is your top priority?
Mike, my top priority is a strong recovery from the COVID-19 pandemic. And that means making sure that the funds that have come to the city of Springfield for ARPA recovery are truly invested in initiatives that are going to have a long-term benefit for the city of Springfield. That's why I'm bringing forward legislation to create a housing trust fund to invest millions of dollars in housing across the city of Springfield's neighborhoods and chip away at this deficit we have of available housing resources. It's also why we're doing a feasibility study on municipal fiber. I was proud to bring that initiative forward and to fight the internet data caps that the current ISP attempted to put on residents in the city of Springfield. We're also going to be looking at how we can stabilize our energy prices here in the city of Springfield and establish an anti-litter initiative across the city to make it a place where people want to continue to build businesses, raise a family, and live.
Thank you very much, sir. Juan La Torre, what is your top priority if you are elected to the council?
Thank you. My top priority is economic development. I see two strategic issues that is facing our city that has to change. First, we have the fourth highest commercial tax rate in the state of Massachusetts. Only North Adams, Pittsfield, and Holyoke have higher commercial tax rates. And those are three examples of cities who lost population over the last 10 years. So we need to make real changes to support those businesses in the city, because the second big issue is that a lot of our economic development policy over the last 10 years has been focused on the big splashes, the MGMs, the CRRCs. But we know that because of the COVID-19 pandemic, about 20% of small businesses across the United States have closed. And so our economic development strategy has to change to one that is focused on small and medium-sized businesses. So in addition to looking at those tax rates, I think we need to look at some commercial districts across the city that may benefit from economic tax incentives to entice businesses to invest there. I really want to take a close look at all of the TIFs or tax incremental financing agreements we have with businesses. And I'd like to take a more strategic strategy on any future TIFs to have those businesses commit to providing first-time home buyers incentives to the city residents, to their employees, so that they become city residents.
And we have time here,
I think
sir.
that Springfield has the opportunity to be a major tech hub for jobs. We have the colleges here and the public education to provide it. We need to reach out to those industries.
We have time. Thank you. Thank you. Okay, Justin Hurst, what is your top priority if returned to the city council?
Thank you, Mike. My top priority is to continue to hold government accountable and make sure that there's transparency in government. And I'm going to continue to call it out whenever I see it, because that's what the people deserve. $2.5 million is going to be spent on buying businesses downtown before we've invested in those that have been disproportionately impacted by COVID. I'm going to call it out. If people are violating the residency ordinance with impunity, I'm going to call it out in hopes that something can be done and enforcement can be had. If millions of contracts are going outside of the city of Springfield, city contracts, that is, when they could be benefiting small businesses here in the city of Springfield, I'm going to call it out. If there are discrepancies in the marijuana process and the people that ought to be benefiting from this process aren't, I'm going to call it out. In addition, if I think that reform needs to be had in our police department and that folks aren't necessarily leading in a way in which I think is suitable for the residents of Springfield, I'm going to call it out. And so I'm going to continue to be a voice for the people and continue to speak out on the issues that matter most to the residents of Springfield.
Thank you, sir. Deborah Fletcher, what is your top priority?
Thank you for the question. Can you hear me?
Yes.
It would be public safety, police safety, people reform. I have been calling out people transparency and trickery forever. I cannot take no more any longer. Economic development, marijuana indifferencies, no. If I am here from 1987 to 2021 and I need to do a commercial and then I am concerned about seniors and public safety, something is wrong. Economic development is done when people are politically in charge to go and push a bill to fix it for all people, not to sit in our seats to disturb and think that you know what's best for the community. The residents of Springfield are looking for only to remove trickery and division. This city for the last 4 years has been in a crisis of division and misleading. And people can't keep sitting around for 20, 30 years and then sign on to people who say systemic racism and I'm going to call out contracts everywhere. Well, all I see is if there's 157,000 people in the city of Springfield and we have people who
And we have time here, Deborah. We have time. Thank you very much. Okay. Our final candidate to answer this question would be Sean Curran. Sean?
Mike, if reelected again, I'm going to continue to focus on policies that increase economic mobility and job creation. The city of Worcester recently, the U.S. Census tells us, increased population by 25,000 people. The jobs are going to Worcester, and I think Springfield needs to latch on to some of that economic burst and prosperity that's going to the center part of our state. And we can do that by investing in infrastructure, again, with the American Rescue Plan, education, and again, public safety. We need to double down on our investments and job creation possibilities here in the city. And I think we can do that. And I think we can do that specifically with the expansion of the University of Massachusetts Springfield, increased community policing, and again, better infrastructure. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Sean. Okay, our next question is going to be given to you folks by Paul Tulhill of WAMC Radio. And I just wanted to prepare you, as we said, we're dividing you in groups. So this question is going to go to Sean Curran, Deborah Fletcher, Justin Hurst, and Juan La Torre. And so let me bring Paul up to the podium to ask the question.
Okay, thanks, Mike, and thank you, candidates. And so my question is, when you look at the large number of legal cannabis businesses that have opened in other municipalities in Western Massachusetts, and you compare it to the 2 adult-use recreational stores in Springfield, do you think the city is missing out on a significant economic opportunity? And Mr. Curran, you're up first with this one.
Well, I think the administration and the law department and the consultants that have been hired to bring this new industry here to Springfield are being cautious and being prudent. And what they're doing is putting together a process in order to bring in a new industry, especially one like the cannabis industry. You do need a process. So we do have a process in place. And I do think things are moving along now. I think it's a competitive industry, and obviously other cities might have more cannabis dispensaries, but in 5 years from now, who's to say how many of them will survive going forward? I think what we're doing here is we're making sure that the applicants are vetted and that they fit within the fabric of our community, and that they meet certain criteria, and that they will contribute to our community and provide some economic vitality here. But I do think, possibly that is somewhat slower. That's a fair criticism. But I think we are on track, and we have a process in place. And we are not facing the problems that other communities are facing, such as Fall River, where there was a lot of situations that are just unacceptable and have been prosecuted. I think here in Springfield, we're on track, and I think we've had some great applicants
10 seconds.
For the council, and they're receiving their licenses. Thank you.
Okay, same question for Deborah Fletcher.
Hi, yes, can you hear me? Great question. No, I don't mean to sound so blunt, but no, because I believe that what we have is okay. I think the people who applied were able to apply. I have always been concerned that the majority of the community wouldn't be involved. Is why I always had a problem and questions for the people who went to Colorado, knowing that this city was full of residents who couldn't have millions of dollars or even thousands to get in. And I'm most concerned that I don't know who's getting the jobs. Well, I know it won't be the people who can't be qualified. So I don't know. I think that we're on a good track. You can't stop it. It's legal. It's $2 billion out. So I'm just hopeful that someone somewhere, makes it legal for everyone.
Thank you very much. Then same question to Justin Hurst.
Thank you, Mike. I think the short answer is yes. We've been overly cautious. I think we were able to create, and that's myself and the rest of the city council has been able to create some of the best zoning laws in the Commonwealth of Mass. However, I think that the biggest issue that we struggled from is that the people who are ultimately making the decisions didn't necessarily do their homework. We were fortunate enough to be able to go on a trip to Colorado to see exactly what was happening there. And what we saw there was that they had more dispensaries than they had Starbucks restaurants, or I'm sorry, Starbucks coffee shops. And so I always knew that there wouldn't be a negative impact to the community because there wasn't in Colorado. And if you look at the 2 dispensaries that are up and running now, you don't even know that they exist. And so it wasn't, I think we were overly cautious because we thought there would be negative impacts, and there just aren't. In addition, I think we've left some critical industries out. There's no reason why we shouldn't have cultivation. We should have already had a cultivation facility, which is going to bring jobs here in the city of Springfield. I think we're more focused on making sure that the people who we know benefit from these licenses than the greater and broader community in the city of Springfield, which is probably why we don't have cultivation, which is probably why we've capped it. We've capped the number of delivery licenses that we're giving here in the city of Springfield,
and that is time,
our rounds are so far away from one another. 2 years to be exact.
Thank you very much. And the last candidate with this question would be Juan La Torre.
Yes, we've missed out on a huge economic opportunity. It doesn't mean that we've missed out permanently, but we had the gold rush in the 1840s. Now we're in the green rush. And eventually this new industry will become saturated. We have a great opportunity right now to give some of our businesses, compared to other surrounding communities, a leg up and to establish them in Springfield as dominant forces in the cannabis community. And I think, the blame goes all around, and some of it's understandable. I agree with some of the comments here that taking a cautious approach was prudent at the beginning. And so some of the choices, for example, like the administration only moving forward with 4 initial, applicants, as opposed to maybe making a larger number, that could be critiqued, but I understand that. And I agree with some of the comments from the existing counselors that the existing legislation that we have in an ordinance is strong, and it provides companies to have the opportunity to move in. But I think we had a critical mistake made by the incumbent counselors when we denied the special permit for INSA. That was a great location for a facility. It was on a proposed street that was written into the bylaws as being appropriate. It's right next to the Hall of Fame and all those great restaurants, so
That's
that folks
10 seconds.
will purchase their things and then shop and celebrate in downtown. And I think that sent a message to the industry that we might not be ready to give them a fair shake. And so
that's
we've
time,
got to
sir.
change that.
Thank you. Okay, for our next question, this is going to go to candidates Letterman, Ryan, Walsh, and Whitfield. And to ask that question is Peter Goonan from the Republican.
Good evening. The city has been awarded more than $123 million to recover from the coronavirus pandemic under the American Rescue Plan Act. It can be used for many things, including city infrastructure, housing aid, business recovery, economic development. What are some of your ideas on how to spend this money? Starting with Mr. Letterman.
Thank you so much for the question, Pete. And as I said earlier during our forum here this evening, this is probably one of the most critical decisions that the local government will be responsible for in the 2 years ahead. And that is why I've wasted no time in working to put forward initiatives for our ARPA spending to make sure that that spending is truly invested. Earlier this year, I hosted the first virtual town hall on COVID-19 recovery in my role as chairman of the COVID-19 response committee of the city council. And we heard from residents and industry and organizations around our city about the impact that COVID had on them. And from there, I went forward around putting some of the proposals that I spoke about earlier together, including the housing trust fund legislation that I will be filing before the end of the year this year, to make sure that we are addressing the shortages in housing that exist here in the city of Springfield and assisting homeowners who have a long-term investment in our city with making needed repairs to their properties. I'm also a huge supporter of the development of municipal fiber internet. The communities around our city are developing municipal fiber networks, and we must ensure that Springfield is not left behind as the internet moves forward. It's become an essential utility, and we must make sure that Springfield residents and businesses are no longer nickel and dime by a monopolistic internet service provider. So those are two of the initiatives that we are already moving forward under ARPA. We also need to make sure that we're using ARPA spending to meet the needs in many industry areas that have been hurt by COVID.
Thank you very much. James Ryan, you're up with that question.
Thank you very much. My priorities are simple. Number one, bring back the businesses that have helped make us for years and bring in new ones. Rehabilitate our residential and commercial properties, and finally make up for the, 11,000, 14,000 unit gap that we're ultimately driving up housing prices, pricing people out, effectively driving people away. We need to bring them back, and we need to make sure that Springfield is a place where everybody feels that they have a good paying job, they have a safe place to live, that they have a community that is connected, that is vibrant, that is involved. And I think when you find that the cities that are doing really well right now, they've decided that they're going to be investing in their people. They're going to be investing in the places that have been hit hardest by the COVID-19 pandemic. But even dating further back, when's the last time that we got hit by a major crisis some of our communities still have yet to fully recover. So to make sure that when we're spending all of these millions of dollars that we have coming in, listen to the people and make sure that we're delivering in the places that have been forgotten. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Kadri Walsh, it's your turn with this question.
And thank you, Mike, and thank you, Peter, for this question, because yes, this is a wonderful opportunity for the city of Springfield. It's transformative to have ARPA, the American Rescue Plan Act. And I want to say to start that we are very fortunate that the key person in City Hall that is doing this is Attorney Tom Moore, who's very fair. And I believe he will make sure that all neighborhoods get a piece of this pie. You know, we all talk about job creation and we all want to see more jobs and more businesses, retain businesses, but there's another part of this, and that part is seniors and helping seniors. And it's my understanding there's going to be a different RFP, an easier RFP for our seniors to access so that they can have help with housing, with repairs, with utilities, and an easier form to fill out. So I would like to make sure that our seniors in every neighborhood who need this assistance can get it. And one of the things I've heard talked about, because I've gone to some of the civic association meetings, is that civic associations want community centers. They may want new buildings. They may want, if they don't have a center, they may want to have one. But if we're, food and food assistance, and something that's been talked about for years, and I think a lot of people would like to see happen, is a grocery store in Mason
10
Square.
seconds.
I mean, that's an example of one of the things that would be extremely transformative and productive. So I want to make sure that all across the city,
And that would be
people
time.
benefit from this.
Thank you. Tracy Whitfield, this is your
Thank you
turn
very
with that
much.
question.
Thank you very much. So the American Rescue Plan Act funds are very important resource that we have. Definitely we want to make sure that it is shared equitably through all the communities for all people, whether they're seniors, students, homeowners, business owners, nonprofit assistant, housing, economic recovery. We have to ensure that the process is fair. And I do agree with Councilor Walsh that Tom Moore is the best person on the job to make sure it is an equitable process and that the spending will be fair. But we also need to look at infrastructure, health, wellness, and mental wellness is very important, and focus on education, whether it's early education, K through 12, and workforce development. We have to make sure that that industry, that's our future, and that they get a piece of the pie. I do want to say that it's that important that I hold weekly ARPA fund meetings to ensure that is transparency throughout the city. They are every Thursday at 4:45. The community can tune in, find out what's happening, how the money is being spent. And finally, I'm going to say that we have to make sure that all workers in the city of Springfield get, whether it's called premium pay, essential worker pay, or
10
hazard
seconds.
pay. During COVID, they put their lives on the line. They put their families at risk, and they deserve merit pay, hazard pay, essential worker pay.
And that would be
across
time.
the city.
Thank you very
Thank you.
much. We would like to recognize both of our representatives from the Springfield High School Democrats tonight. Unfortunately, due to a change in program, only one of them will be asking a question to our candidates this evening. Focus Springfield wants to thank both of them for their engagement in the civic process. So this next question will be asked by Michaela Cruz, and it will be going to candidates La Torre, Hurst, Fletcher, and Curran. And so the first person to answer that would be candidate La Torre. So Michaela, the floor is yours.
Thank you, and good evening, everyone. So despite not being able to vote yet, youth are often the biggest advocates for change. If elected, what would be your plan to listen to younger residents and to get them more involved in local politics?
Okay, Mr. La
Thank
Torre.
you for the question. Yes, thank you. Great question. I think it starts with community engagement. I had the benefit over the course of this campaign of knocking on doors in all 17 of our neighborhoods. And that gave me opportunities to speak to a lot of voters, but it also gave me opportunity to speak to the children of voters and to get their insights. And I had a lot of great conversations with high schoolers and middle schoolers. And I asked the question, what do you think about your city? What do you like the best? What do you think needs to be changed? What are your concerns about your schools or your teachers? And I got a lot of really thoughtful and insightful responses. So I hope to continue that, serving as one of your at-large city councilors. You got to go to the people over the course of this campaign. I've gone to so many wonderful different civic events to have the opportunity to speak with all sorts of people from across the city to get their inputs. And so I'd look to continue to do that. And, when I was just a common citizen, I got invited to have and participate in a subcommittee of the city council focused on young professionals issues. And I think the city council should continue to look at creating ad hoc committees to bring all people into the discussions of government, and that we should have, a young person's, a high school, maybe even a middle school committee to get input on a regular basis to make sure we're looking at the issues that matter to everyone.
Thanks very much. Justin Hurst, it's your turn at this question.
Thank you. And Ms. Cruz, I'm so enormously proud of you. It was an absolute pleasure and honor to be at your school today. I think one of the things that we really need to do is we need to show up when folks ask us to come before their schools or the classrooms and actually be present in the lives of our young people. We need to understand that we are role models, and that the only way in which our young folks are going to be interested in government is if we bring government to them. So similar to how school committee woman Naylor and myself were before you today in the cafeteria, is what we need to do more of. We know that your voice matters. We know that we need to listen to you more often. And I also want you all to believe in yourself and to know that we care. We are concerned. We know that you are experiencing a number of issues, especially over the course of the last 2 years, in terms of going from in school to remote to back to in-person learning. And so we're here to help. And we want you to know that we're personable and that we're here ready to serve and willing to do anything that we can possibly do, because our young people are our future.
Thank you very much, sir. Deborah Fletcher, it's your turn.
Thank you for the question. I would encourage young people to really ask their parents about this political game and history, and not take it from just individuals. Because what I've learned is there's a lot of people that mislead people. And in order for young people to be engaged, you have to show transparency and be honest totally, because they do have a lot of questions. They have questions where sometimes we as adults can't really answer, and we make excuses. And I love talking to young people because they really are very smart people than most of us here. No disrespect to anybody's education, but young people are not into foolery. And they also believe that we, as the people that are trying to help them, are not serious and will never change, and nothing's going to change. So I would encourage them to ask their parents about the history that they have endured. I would encourage them to ask their parents about why they're here in Massachusetts, because Massachusetts is not a state that's built to be all Black. And so we have states that are fixed for that, but it's not this state.
10
so
seconds.
I would encourage children, to just ask their parents of the history of our state.
Thank you very much. Thank you. And Sean Curran, it's your turn.
Thank you, Mike. That is a terrific question from our student questioner. Currently, we're reading the paper recently. The city of Greenfield had only 5 candidates for 7 spots on their city council. Recently, the Hampton School Board, many have resigned. We kind of are in an era where people are walking away from politics. We need to change that. And we change that as elected officials, providing a more civil, constructive, positive, and an active policy debate. It's interesting that we're on Zoom because I think Zoom kind of contributes to that civility. And we need to encourage people to explain to them that probably the best way, the strongest way to bring social change to your community is to have the courage to put your name on the ballot. And I would encourage young people today to do that. And I think we need to bring down the vitriol and rise up with a little bit of civility. And to the extent of the last 2 years during this COVID, I think our city council has done that. And so I was proud to work with my members on the city council for this historic and unprecedented session that's been on Zoom. But I think the bickering was to a minimum, and I think the constructive public policy and positive change for the city was to a maximum. So I was proud of that.
And thank you very much. The next person up with a question is Matt Safransky from Western Mass Politics and Insight. And this is going to go to the group of Tracy Whitfield, Kateri Walsh, James Ryan, and Jesse Letterman.
Good evening, everyone. My question is for you is, would the mask mandate set to expire next week, would you support a vaccination mandate for city employees? And would you urge the school committee to look into doing the same for Springfield Public School employees?
And that first answer is going to go to Tracy Whitfield.
Thank you very much. I think mandating vaccination. Did you say vaccination or mask mandate? I'm sorry.
It's a vaccination mandate.
Mandate. Okay. Sorry. I'm a little bit distracted. I think that mandating the vaccination is important. However, I do think it's a personal choice. I think that there are religious beliefs and there are other factors that would stand in the way of some people getting a vaccination. And while I'm vaccinated and I do encourage a vaccination because it's just better for people to live and to keep others safe, I don't think that mandating that everyone get a vaccination is going to solve the problem. You're going to have plenty of people walking away from the city, plenty of people walking from the school department when there's already a shortage of employees and teachers because they are being forced to get a vaccination. And I think that that is definitely a personal choice. However, I encourage getting a vaccination. I don't think that I would want anyone to force me to do something against my will. And so that's just my take on mandating the vaccination.
Thank you very much. Kateri Walsh, you're up for that question.
Okay, and I would have to say that I agree with my colleague, Councilor Whitfield, on mandating vaccinations. I think it's important that everybody get the vaccination. I have gotten the both vaccinations. I've signed up for a booster, and we are always concerned about the health and safety. I don't think that children, haven't decided yet on whether or not I think children should be vaccinated because I don't think the science is there yet to prove whether or not it's effective. And I think that's a decision that needs to be left up to the parents on whether or not they want to do that. So I would like and encourage everybody to be vaccinated and get the booster. But I, like Tracy, I would not force them if they had religious or other concerns.
Okay, James Ryan, what's your answer?
So I just want to make sure I was clicking the unmute button properly. You know what? This may very well cost me some votes. But yeah, I do. As a public school teacher, as someone who's working with children every day, as someone who is working with children whose parents and extended families have already lost members, as somebody who has a 3-month-old who does not have an immune system, yes, I think that it is, generally speaking, an excellent idea to ensure that the people who are going to be working with people, who are going to be seeing people every day, who are going to be surrounded by people, are protected. Because it's not just, look, I just got my booster shot today as well as a flu shot. I didn't get it so much for me. I'm probably going to be fine. I got it for my daughter. I got it for my friends who are immunocompromised. I got it for the people who cannot get it. When we are facing a city that still has less than, I think we still believe under 60% or nearing there, when we are lagging far behind the state of Massachusetts, we have to really be looking inward and saying, what are we doing? How are we supposed to say that we're going to be promoting public health and public safety when we're not going to be making sure that people who
10
are
seconds.
most likely to spread it are going to be spreading it? And so, yeah, I support a mandate. Thank you.
Thank you. And Jesse Letterman, you're last with this particular answer.
Thank you for the question, Matt. Let me start by saying that my goal as the chair of the COVID-19 response committee and as a city councilor since vaccinations became available has been to make sure that they are accessible to every neighborhood in the city of Springfield, to every individual in the city of Springfield. It has also been to spread as much information as possible about the vaccine, about the effectiveness of the vaccine and the safety of the vaccine. I have been vaccinated, my entire family has been vaccinated, and I encourage every resident of the city of Springfield who is able to be vaccinated, including our city employees, to get vaccinated. It is the best way to keep yourself, to keep your community, and to keep your family safe. In the event that city employees are not vaccinated, they should be wearing masks and they should be subject to testing to make sure that they are safe and that those around them are safe. We need to make sure that we continue to make vaccines available. We need to make the information available. We have a whole nother round now coming as we see the FDA considering the vaccine for children. And we are going to need to get that information out there and handle those logistics as well. So I encourage every city resident to get vaccinated. I encourage every city employee to get vaccinated. Keep yourself safe, keep your family safe. And if you are a city employee that's not vaccinated, it's important that you continue to wear a mask and that you get tested to make sure you are not spreading or receiving yourself COVID-19.
And thank you very much, Jesse Letterman. Okay, folks, we've come to the end of the questions, which means all of you will have a 90-second candidate closing statement. And we're going to go once again in alphabetical order. So we're going to start with Sean Curran. Sean, you got 90 seconds to do a sum up.
Thank you, Mike, and thank you to all my colleagues and all the candidates running for Springfield City Council. It was a nice public forum and a great debate. I grew up here in the city of Springfield, the son of two immigrants. This city has always been a city of opportunity for my family and for myself. It's been a privilege and honor to represent the city as a state representative on Beacon Hill for 10 years. It's been an honor to serve as an assistant district attorney. It's been an honor to serve as a city attorney. And it's certainly been an honor to represent residents of Springfield on their city council. If elected to another 2-year term, you can count on me to fight for more business opportunities, stronger public safety initiatives, and more investment in infrastructure. It's been a terrific last 2 years, although a very trying 2 years with COVID-19. But I'm committed to public safety and committed to being part of the civic life of the city of Springfield. Let's keep our city moving forward. Great days are ahead.
Thank you very much, Sean. Deborah Fletcher, you're up with a closing statement.
Thank you. Thank you to the city of Springfield. Thank you to Focus and everyone on the panel as well. Yeah, like myself too, I'm born in Springfield my whole life. I'm a single mom. And, I'm seen as an anchor in the city for my whole life. So if elected, I plan to bring unity, safety, prosperity for all. Overall, the goal is to Springfield to be made safe for all of our children, equal opportunities, and me being allowed to sit here with all these high-class, highly educated people. Well, it's like Mr. said, you got to be confident in whatever you are and whatever you do and get on the ballot. I believe that our city has been through some really difficult times. We've always survived together. We've always thrived. I don't believe there's any systemic racism. I believe that there's good in everybody, right? We've seen people make mistakes and then make excuses and then try to keep carrying on. So I believe that if we remove what was, people will be more engaged, to be in tune, to move forward. We talk about all these problems. cannot move forward if we don't come together. So that's it's all about unity and safety for me and for the people of Springfield, working with everyone equally. That's it.
Thank you very much. Juan La Torre, your closing statement.
Thank you, Focus Springfield, for the opportunity to speak with the residents of the city of Springfield tonight. This campaign has been one of the great honors of my life, and it will be an incredible honor on November 2nd to go to the polling station and see the name La Torre on the ballot for the first time in my family's history. I'm grateful for the opportunity. I'm asking the residents of the city of Springfield to consider two visions for our city. One is a return to civility in our civics, a focus on economic development, investment in every neighborhood, good education, a cleaner environment, and equal opportunity for all. The other is economic stagnation, continued focus on press releases and finger pointing instead of progress. I think that Springfield is ready for change. I think we're ready to emerge from this COVID-19 pandemic stronger than ever, more unified than ever, and more willing to look into the future to what Springfield could become. Better housing for all, a greater focus on the technologies industry, world-class entertainment, a place where everyone has the opportunity to buy their first home or to stay in their home for as long as they like. It's been an honor to speak with you all tonight, and I'm humbled to have the opportunity to serve as one of your city councilors. Thank you.
Professional writer since 1975. I obviously don't understand the alphabet, and I'd skipped over Justin Hurst. Justin?
That's quite all right,
I don't want
Mike.
you to panic, but yes, it's your turn now.
That's quite. I thought it was me, Mike. No, thank you, and thank you, Focus Springfield, for having this forum, and certainly thank you to Ms. Cruz. It's so important to have our young people involved in government. You certainly bring a lot to the table. I'm hopeful that you will continue to see the work that I do as important in the city of Springfield. I plan on continuing to be a voice for those individuals who are voiceless. I plan to continue to fight for jobs here in the city of Springfield. I plan to continue to fight for small businesses here in the city of Springfield. I plan to continue to be a steward over the $123 million in ARPA funding and making sure that it is going to be invested in our neighborhoods. I plan to continue to work with my colleagues. I think what is oftentimes lost is that over the last 2 to 3 years, we have done an absolute phenomenal job in terms of advancing legislation that is difficult, but that also has a significant impact on the lives of the residents of Springfield. We recognize that there is much more work to do, and I'm certainly poised to do that work and willing to put in the hard work to see all of the great things that could potentially be here in Springfield come to fruition. So thank you so much for those who have supported me in the past, and hopefully I will earn your vote on November 2nd.
Thank you very much, sir. Jesse Letterman, you're up next.
Thank you so much, Mike, and thank you to everybody here this evening for the great dialogue. It is the honor of my life to serve as one of your city councilors at large. Above all else, above everything we've discussed tonight, I think one of the most important roles of a city councilor is to be there for the people of Springfield, to advocate for the residents of Springfield, and to be a resource. That's why I've always focused on accessibility. Throughout my first 2 terms, we've hosted multiple town hall meetings across our city. We've hosted virtual town halls and online Q&As when we moved into the pandemic. And what I can promise to the people of Springfield that are watching this tonight, above everything that we have discussed this evening, is if reelected, I will continue to be here to advocate for you. I will continue to be here to fight for you. I will continue to be accessible to every resident of the city of Springfield. Please visit my website, jesseforspringfield.com. Give me a call, 413-285-3041. I'll answer tonight. We will continue to fight for the city of Springfield together, because now is the time to think big and towards the future. And I humbly ask for your vote again on Tuesday, November 2nd. Thank you.
And thank you. James Ryan, your closing statement.
Thank you very much. And I wanted to thank our host, Focus Springfield. Thank you very much, Mike, for putting this all together. It's really been wonderful. And to those of you watching at home, and I would also like to thank my fellow candidates for a very spirited race. We're nearing the end. Let's get it done. And there's definitely quite a few of us. And so I think it may be useful to say definitively what you're going to get from me as a city councilor. I'm a parent, I'm a public school teacher here in Springfield, and I'm a veteran policymaker, all wrapped into one. This means that I not only see firsthand the issues being faced by our community's most vulnerable, but I also have the knowledge and the experience to address those issues in a way that is always forward thinking. You can rest assured I will always be working in the interests of the city's future because I have to look it in the eyes every day, whether it's in the classroom or, let's face it, on the diaper changing table. I'm also somebody who shows up. If it's for a vote, no matter how big or small, I'm there. If it's for a demonstration in support of a community who needs their voice heard, I am there in solidarity with them. And even if it's just a neighborhood park cleanup or a tree planting, I'm there. And not just for a photo op, I'm there to roll up my sleeves, get my hands dirty, and making sure that I'm doing everything I can to make people's lives just a little bit better each day.
10 seconds.
So if you haven't cast it already, I humbly ask for your vote on November 2nd and for the opportunity to serve you. Thank you.
And thank you, sir. Last but certainly not least, Tracy Whitfield, your closing statement. Oh, I'm sorry, Carrie Walsh, your closing statement.
Okay, I guess Justin and I are forgettable. I'm not sure about that. As your Springfield City Councilor, I've been working very hard to make sure that all our neighborhoods are vibrant, safe, and secure. I'm going to work hard to make sure that job creation and retention happen in all neighborhoods of the city, especially with this wonderful opportunity that we have with ARPA, which is transformative and will help many people stay in their homes and start new businesses and repair their homes. It's an exciting time to be in government because of these opportunities. And, you know, a lot of this money is unrestricted, which means a lot of these projects will really reach out to a lot more people. But I have a record of service and experience to the city of Springfield. I believe that if you're looking at candidates and wondering what are we going to bring, well, I'm fair, I'm independent, and I think that philosophy has been an asset to the city of Springfield. It has been an honor to serve, and I would, like all the candidates here tonight, I would be honored to have your vote and support on Tuesday, November 2nd. And thank you for all these questions tonight that gave people an opportunity, I think, maybe to know us a little bit better.
Okay. And Councilor Whitfield, you're the last person to answer this question. What is your closing statement?
Thank you very much, Mike, for the question. I just wanted to say I've been here, I've been organizing, I've been out here working for the people before I became a city councilor. I'm going to continue while I'm a city councilor. I am known to be in the community, organizing with the community, giving back to the youth, giving back to people in need, helping folks in need. I am known for that. I'm out here. I'm not just here to change legislation. Also, I do that as well. But I am here for the community as a resource and as a role model. And I want to make sure that everyone gets exactly what they deserve and it's equitable. I want to make sure the government is transparent, held accountable for the things that they do wrong and right. We want to reward them and encourage them to continue to do the right things because nothing is always one way or the other. And we need to say that. And I want to just continue to work with the colleagues that we have on the council because we have made great strides in the past 3 years that I have been on the council. And I am grateful for folks who are out here running now. And if it's the voice of the people, hey, I'm fine, but please consider me on November 2nd as one of your top 5 choices. It has definitely been an honor to be able to extend more of myself to the city of Springfield so they can get to know me as a person and as a person who will definitely work hard for everyone in the community. So my Focus Springfield, I definitely appreciate the opportunity and I am so blessed to be here spending this Thursday night with all of you. Thank you. And please, 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 everybody vote November 2nd.
Thank you very much. Okay, folks, it's going to be up to you. On November 2nd, you need to go to the polls, you need to participate. And you know the rule. If you don't go to the polls and vote, then you shouldn't be commenting on social media about all the problems that you see in the city. You got to get involved, you got to be involved. So I know for myself and for my colleagues, for Michaela Cruz, We appreciate the fact that these counselors took part of their Thursday evening to answer questions, and I hope that all of you viewers will have the opportunity to maybe watch this a second time just in order to determine which counselors you'd like to vote for, which candidates you'd like to vote for. So on behalf of Focus Springfield, thank you very much for viewing tonight. Candidates, thank you very much for your participation.